Hello everyone and welcome to A Doctor's Journey hosted by Operation Smile Thailand. Welcome. My name is Dean Madeira and I will be your moderator throughout this event. Operation Smile Thailand is a non-profit medical organization that provides free, safe surgeries to underprivileged children born with a cleft lip or cleft palate. These surgeries are performed by medical volunteers from all over Thailand who have dedicated their time to be on all of our medical missions, and without their love and dedication, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do. This webinar is designed to give you the full perspective on the journey of becoming a doctor and Operation Smile as an international organization. My apologies. The first 15 minutes will focus on Operation Smile Thailand as an organization and the work we do on a medical mission. The second part will be a doctor's journey from classroom to hospital. For those of you just joining us, thank you and welcome, and let me go through the rules for today. This is a Zoom webinar, so all mics and cameras will be turned off. During the webinar, if you have any questions, please submit them in the chat box. Please note that this webinar will be recorded. Please note that the evaluation form is to be submitted by the 8th of November. Please follow the link in the email you were sent with your Zoom code. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on YouTube from the 20th of November. All unanswered questions in the chat box will be answered and posted via QR code on the 30th of November. Please have a great webinar. Now we are going to start and open up with two videos. The first video, A Smile Changes Everything, and the second video, a video on the webinar and student programs by Dean Madeira, myself. Thank you. Operation Smile student programs empowers the youth both in Thailand and globally through advocacy, education, leadership, and service. Our student volunteers represent the future of furthering the Operation Smile mission, and volunteering with us affords them a fulfilling and unique opportunity. In this webinar, students will hear from medical professionals who have dedicated their time in helping Operation Smile Thailand to bring more smiles and to ensure those individuals live healthier lives. due to the current COVID-19 situation, Operation Smile Thailand has not been able to take students on a week-long medical mission, and it is the aim of this webinar to bring both the knowledge of who we are as an organization and the impact of a medical mission. This webinar is designed to help and encourage students in Thailand who strive to study medicine by providing them with the information on how they can achieve their dreams, to inspire them, helping them grow, and ensuring they have the building blocks for a better tomorrow. Thank you. Hello and welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the last two videos. Up next, we have 3 videos by 3 inspirational speakers who have helped shape Operation Smile both in Thailand and globally. The first video will be by Dr. Upres Nimkorn, who is the chairperson at Operation Smile Thailand. The second video will be by Bridget Clifford McGee, who works for the Strategic Initiative Students Program at Operation Smile headquarters. And the third video will be by Chai Han Woo Tiger, who is an Operation Smile student leader.
Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining our first student webinar today. My name is Dr. Upres Nimkorn. I am the chairperson of Operation Smile Thailand. Operation Smile Thailand is a non-profit medical foundation that has been providing free safe surgeries to the underprivileged patients in Thailand since 1997. And we are dedicated to providing care that meets the global standards. Operation Smile Thailand has created the largest volunteer-based activities, and we welcome students from all over Thailand to join us in creating more smiles than ever before. Thank you to the volunteers who have made our medical missions a reality. Please enjoy the webinar and stay safe.
Hi everybody out there in Thailand. I'm broadcasting here from Aspen, Colorado, and my name is Bridget Clifford, and I work very intimately with student programs out of headquarters in the US and globally, just trying to coach kids and their educators and their sponsors and anyone, family, who want to get intimately involved with Operation Smile. And Dean asked me to share with you a little bit about the journey that I've taken with Operation Smile, which started back in 1982 when my parents went out on a mission to the Philippines. And they ended up bringing me along with them as a young 13-year-old. I'm the oldest of 5 children, and they thought it would be a good idea to take one of us away from my grandparents having to care for my 4 siblings who were left behind in Norfolk, Virginia. So I went on this incredible trip with them, and this was before Operation Smile was born. My father and mother were asked to join a team from Texas called Operation Rainbow to go with them to take care of children in the Philippines. And we went to 3 different sites, and in one of the sites that we were at, we ended up screening a bunch of children, but we only had a couple of days, and we could only take care of so many. We were not able to take care of all of the children that came to see us. And my father tells the infamous story about the banana story. And it was here that this young mother came up to my father and said, "I'd like to give you these bananas to thank you for trying to take care of my child." So she was one of those moms that was not able to have her child taken care of. But it was the gratitude from this mother in her offering of this very small bundle of bananas that my parents started thinking, you know, how are we going to be able to come back and take care of these kids that we turned away? And so that's just what ignited the spark. And they often also talk about how it is emotion that drives action. And for them, this experience was so emotional. And for me too, because here I was in this very, very different country than the one that I had grown up with. And my parents put me to work to either just sit and play with the children. I did have the opportunity to go into the OR with my father and see what it was like to literally transform a child's life from having a cleft lip, an open cleft lip, to having one that was closed and being able to smile in that normal way. And so not only did this experience ignite my parents, but it especially ignited my mother to say, hey, how can we involve students and children, young people in our journey if we were to go home and create something? And that's just what they did. They ended up going home and gathering a group of their friends. We always like to say, gather some friends, because when you do something with friends, it's a little bit more fun. So they gathered their friends, they raised a little bit of money, and they went back to Cebu, and they ended up taking care of the children that they turned away. But what ended up happening was even more children showed up. And that's really what started Operation Smile. I also take from them that sometimes you don't have to have a grand plan. Again, it's all about the emotion that drives you to do something. And a lot of our students over these past 40 years that we've been working and taking care of children, a lot of them will tell you that they receive so much more than what they've given back to Operation Smile. And I think that's something you need to remember too, that when you become a real humanitarian, a true humanitarian, you'll very often compromise doing things that normal kids do, like watching Netflix or playing on your Xbox, or doing these awesome TikTok things that are evolving every single day. But I think you'll find that when you get involved with Operation Smile, you'll start to really realize that you can put those things aside and put your efforts into something that's truly going to create impact for others. And this is what has happened time and time again over all these years of us. Once we were in the Philippines, our friends in Africa heard about us, and then our friends in Vietnam heard about us. And it was all about these friends that my parents had that started reaching out to them to say, hey, could you come and see if you could take care of our children? And they never said no. They always tried to figure out how they could get over to these really, really far away countries and explore and see if there was any way that we could do this and we could take care of kids. So I will say personally, this has been an incredible journey to have grown up with Operation Smile. If you're in the early throes of your high school years, or even, getting ready to go to college, it's an amazing time to get involved with us. We're getting ready to walk into our 40th anniversary year. There's lots of exciting things happening. We're trying to go further into our countries to take care of more children. Those are kids and families that can't necessarily get to us in these bigger cities, or they've never really heard about us. So we're looking to students to really be willing to go out there with us. Can you throw the essentials into your backpack and put on the right shoes and walk the trails? I'm going to introduce my mom in a second, and we've been walking and just, exploring this beautiful country of Aspen, Colorado, with the leaves changing here right now. There's so much that you can take back from exploring a country in such a different way, and doing it with Operation Smile really gets you to the roots of a culture, of a language, and of a need. And the need for us to take care of these kids with cleft lip and palate is really, really it's urgent right now. These kids have been waiting for us during this pandemic. They've been trying to stay healthy. We're struggling a little bit with with getting them the right nutrition so that when we arrive, they're ready for surgery. So we need your help. We really, really do. Thank you to all of you for being on this conference. And I just wanted to have my mom share a few words with you since she's right here with me.
Hi everyone. Yes, we've been doing this for 40 years, but
we couldn't have done it without Thailand, let me tell you. We know those kids are not only from Thailand, but over your border from Myanmar, and we're trying to help them have a life. So I just want to thank you for being a part of this, and I only tell my story, which is Bridget and I were together on that first trip in the Philippines, and we left our other 4 children home, but I saw what she did. I saw how you can connect with children, and you know what to do. She was talking about TikTok. I watched it the other day with one of my other grandchildren. So creative, so innovative to get people involved. That's what we're trying to do, get people involved, because 80% or 85% of this world has no access to health care. With you, we can change a life. A child can have a surgery and have a life to follow, a future. And so I just leave you with my little story. When I got home from that trip, so our other 4 children are there, Bridget's home, it is Christmas. So what do we do at Christmas? We go out and buy things for our family, for our friends, and I went out and I got into the store, and I can tell you, I just sobbed, because I was like, we don't need another shirt or a toy or anything else in our house. We just need to pull ourselves together to help people have a real life. So I'm asking you to get your creativity. I know you have it. I've seen it time and time again. Thousands of students have followed us and made significant changes, just like in Thailand. I know you have a big group there. So continue, and really, we are so proud of what you have done as young people to change this world to have better health care. We can't do without being healthy every day. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Sawadee ka.
Hello, my name is Tiger Wu. I graduated from Thai Chinese International School in 2019, and I'm currently a junior at Chulalongkorn School of Integrated Innovation. In 2017, I was introduced to Smile Club by a high school senior who was the TCI Smile Club president at that time, and she wanted me to help with the club's financial work as a treasurer. So that's how I got into Smile Club. Having the opportunity to attend a mission to Masot, this life-changing experience inspired me to continue my smile creating journey with Operation Smile Thailand. Throughout this 3-day mission, I was able to witness the impact that Operation Smile Thailand creates. Most of the patients have traveled quite far from home to receive treatment, and they'll have to go through a lot of waiting before they actually enter the operating rooms. Our main objective as student volunteers is to play with the patients and decorate their environment to brighten up their day. Here's a picture of us decorating the hospital ward with balloons and stickers to add colors during the wait. And here's a picture of me playing with a patient from Myanmar who had both cleft lip and cleft palate. As student volunteers, we also had the chance to enter operating rooms to closely observe the process of facial deformity surgery. Although it felt really tense in the operating rooms, but knowing that this 1-hour process can change one's life just feels extremely magical to me, and inspired me to continue supporting Operation Smile Thailand as a student volunteer. Luckily, I had the chance to attend Masot mission trips for 2 years straight, and here are some pictures of us before entering the operating rooms. Entering university, I wanted to provide faculty classmates the opportunity to experience being part of Operation Smile's journey. In 2020, I established a faculty club called Sci Smile Club, where we aim to apply skills and knowledge we learned from class to fundraise and raise awareness for Operation Smile Thailand. Our club members designed a Smile tote bag and Smile face mask as our main fundraising products. Although COVID-19 sets an obstacle for all activities and events, our club managed to participate in several market events selling our products, and within 1 year we fundraised approximately 75,000 Thai baht in total, which covers approximately 3 cleft lip or palate surgeries. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. These are the 2 designs of our tote bags. One says, "You are someone's reason to smile," and another one gives you the definition of smile. To stay hygienic during the pandemic, we also designed a smile face mask with a smiley face that has cleft lip, and it's available in both black and white. Here's a picture of us selling our products including tote bag and mask in a flea market. The club vice president Lemon and the treasurer Hai, along with me, paid a visit to Operation Smile Thailand's office to hand over our donations. Please like us on Facebook at Sai Smile Club, and also follow us on Instagram SCII_Smile Club. Thank you. Lastly, I'd like to say, no matter if you are pursuing a medical career or not, I really encourage all of you to support Operation Smile in any way, because this organization is helping the community by fixing and creating more smiles. Thank you and stay safe.
Hello and welcome back. The next part is being a volunteer surgeon, led by Associate Professor Apichai Angspat, who has been with Operation Smile Thailand for over 20 years as a medical volunteer. Dr. Apichai is the Medical Field Director of Operation Smile Thailand and has attended over 180 medical missions so far. In order to give you a clear perspective of what her medical mission is, we have a video especially created for this webinar. If you have any questions on the video, please send them through the chat box in the Zoom. Thank you and enjoy. Hello and welcome back. I hope you just enjoyed the video we just watched, and I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome and introduce Associate Professor Apichai Angspat. Welcome, Dr. Apichai, and on behalf of Operation Smile Thailand and myself, I'd like to congratulate you on your recent promotion to the President of the Society of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgeons of Thailand.
Thank you, Dean.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Apichai. Dr. Apichai, could you go into detail and introduce yourself in more detail for us?
Actually, I'm a plastic surgeon working in the Chulalongkorn University Hospital. As well, I'm a president of the Plastic Surgeon of Thailand. So most of my work is going around with the reconstructions, including the cleft palate as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. Dr. Apichai, the video we just watched, could you explain to the students and the attendees in more detail about what a medical mission is?
Medical mission that we went to do in the upcountry in Thailand or in our nearby country is most likely focused on the cleft palate and sometimes other anomaly, just like the burn contracture or some congenital anomaly. So the idea is that actually it is usually our work to do these kinds of operation here back in Bangkok, but we realize that sometimes it's very difficult for the patient that live in the far away that come to Bangkok or a big city to have a surgery done. And once we start this kind of mission 20 years ago, I think most of the doctors realized that it's very important that we should keep on this kind of mission, because when we were there, we realized that it is more comfortable for them. I mean, patient, their parents, and their cousin to take care of them. So we just spend our time with them for a week. We can do a lot of operations, sometimes up to 100 operations, so that they don't have to travel. Everybody have to travel to a big city if we wait here in the big city to have a surgery done. That's what the idea of the mission.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. That's really interesting. Dr. Apichai, can you tell us a bit about your journey on how you became a plastic surgeon?
After the medical school, so my training is a plastic surgeon. I start my volunteer as we call resident. Resident is when you graduated and you come back for training for some specialty, which is my specialty is plastic surgery. My mentor, Dr. Prisha, then he's a president of plastic surgery in Thailand. So he kind of asked me to take care or look at this mission. It's new for Operation Smile Thailand in Thailand. So we have joined the mission a couple of times, and I realized that first, as I told you, I think this is probably not necessary, because in Thailand surgery is for free. But then we realized that there are many other things which is an expense for them to travel a long way to have a surgery. And sometimes this expense is much more than the surgical expense itself. So going there and then have a surgery done, a lot of patients, I think that would be more beneficial for them. And I think most of the doctors that join us from the beginning have the same thinking. So that's why we have a lot of volunteers going with us, because by doing this, I think we have helped a lot of cleft palate patients that it is a lot in Thailand. Go back 20 years ago. The situation now is much more better. I think this is something that we have done for 20 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. One of the questions that we have for you today is, Dr. Apichai, what inspired you to be a volunteer medical plastic surgeon for the past 20 years?
I think at the beginning, because we are plastic surgeons, this is part of our job. For myself, I think a lot of my colleagues, which is a plastic surgeon, anesthesiologists, and nurses, I think it's probably the same, that we we went there and we had a feeling that this is the right thing to do. You can go there, you just spend a week there, nothing much, but the job that you have accomplished is extremely important. So I think that's why doctor or our colleague or volunteer, when we have a chance to be there, we have a feeling that we should keep on doing this. And it's in the short term, it's 20 years already.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for explaining your journey on how you became a plastic surgeon. Dr. Abhijay, has it been fulfilling?
Pardon?
Has it been fulfilling, your journey to becoming a plastic surgeon? Was it fulfilling?
I think most of the medical school, when you graduate from your medical school, we are kind of not knowing exactly what we are going to, right? It's probably spend a while before you realize that what specialty you're going. And then for me, when I selected, I probably better to be a surgeon, and you go into this reconstruction field and you have done this job. I think that's the thing that makes you feel just like you have done your job, and the job that you have done probably have a lot of benefit for the people that has a problem like this one. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, no, it's really great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Abhijay, we have another question here. What was it? What was the defining point for you that decided that you wanted to be a plastic surgeon, to go into this speciality? What was that point in your career that you decided, this is it, I want to be a plastic surgeon?
Sincerely, I think most of the doctor, when they graduate from medical school, they know roughly what they want. They want to be an internist, they want to be a surgeon, or they want to be a radiologist. But for me, I probably thought that I would rather be a surgeon, but I'm not specific what kind of surgeon I would have. I would say if I have to be a orthopedics, I'd be a general surgeon, I'd probably be happy too. But for some reason, I finally be a plastic surgeon.
Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. Dr. Abhijay, what would you say are the 3 most important qualities or characteristics that somebody needs to have before they decide to pursue medicine?
I think the most important thing, you have to like it. I know that many people thought that doctor is a good career. It is, yes. But it's the professional that require a lot of times.
Yes.
You have to spend a lot of time with your patient. When you on call, whatever you did, they want you to work. So this is something that is very important. If you don't like it, sometimes you will feel that it disturbs you, right? You feel not so happy. You feel that you've been invaded by something else. So this is very important, that you have to like it. I think the second is that medical professional is a little bit perfectionist, right? Because everybody expects a good result. So this is something that you have to realize. And they have kinds of a image of the doctor for the general society.
Yes.
That's probably something you want. Maybe you want to do that, but sometimes it's not a good not a good way to do that. You probably have to pass that. So all these things all together is something that you have to face when you turn to be a real doctor. But anyway, I think the most important thing is that you have to like it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Well, thank you so much. These are really interesting, and I'm sure they're very informative for the attendees. We have another question here. The student wants to know, what kind of mindset is required to be a doctor? How would
It's probably a little bit the same. You have to, I realize that it's difficult if you are a student. If I went back, I think I become a doctor because I'm good at my grade. I have a good grade. 30 years ago, people would say that they're not feel there are only few choice for you if you have a good grade, and doctor is one option. But 30 years have passed, and when I looking back, I would say that you have to be kind of like it mean that you have to ask yourself a question. If you want to do something, but there's something coming up and they require you to do that immediately, are you happy with that? That's help people,
Okay.
but you have to sacrifice yourself a little bit, right?
Yes.
You probably have appointment to go to cinema, sort of that, but you have to cancel that. You go to see the patient. If you think that you can accept that, you can live with that, I think that's something just an example of what to be a doctor.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai, for answering that question. It's really interesting. So we've got another question here, Dr. Apichai. What are the unique skills that separate a normal surgeon from a plastic surgeon? Are they very different?
No, I think it's not so. Every surgeon now, they have we call a detailed specialty. Some surgeons, just like neurosurgeon, they use a lot of microscope and need a lot of hand skill. So I think it's a training. Once you be a doctor and you become a surgeon, and you know that your hand skill is quite not so bad. Don't have to be very good, but not so bad. The training will help you, and the training system now is very good, much more better than I went in 20 years ago. So I think that will help you. Don't worry about that. You just keep on practicing and go through your training. And if you like it, you will find it very enjoyable, and that will be fun. And someday you'll be a good surgeon. Don't worry about that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Dr. Apichai, we've got another question here from a student. They want to know, what are the foreseeable problems for future doctors?
You mean in Thailand?
Yeah, what are the cons for future doctors in Thailand compared to when you studied?
I know what the meaning is. I think if you look back 30 years ago, there are not many doctors in Thailand, right? So it's like a professional that you have more choice, a lot of choice, because you have a lot of people, you have few doctors. The competition in each field is not very strong. But now, 30 years passes, we have more and more doctors.
Yeah.
They have a lot of competition in every field. But I thought there's open new fields every year. And if we don't just keep ourselves in the old-fashioned classical way, the doctor have a lot of opportunity, which is not there 30 years ago.
Okay.
You can go to research, you can go to the already new fields that is really interesting. I'm almost 60 years old. I still think that field is fascinating. So I think if you just like it, there's a lot of chance that you can get a specialty that probably not there 20 years ago, and that means that you will be a pioneer. So as a whole, I think it still have a good opportunity, but yes, more competition.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. There's definitely going to be more competition with more people.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. Dr. Apichai, one of the students would like to know, how have you stayed motivated all these years in doing what you do, both in the hospital and both as a volunteer?
Many people ask me, why did I do this for 30 years? I would say that because it's fun. I like it.
Okay.
This is important, right? If you like the job you did, I think you don't have to think that, oh, this is a good job, we have to go there. You don't have to motivate yourself because you like it. So that's why when you want to be a doctor or what specialty you want to go in, this is very important. Don't mind asking if it's gonna make a lot of money. I think that's not true.
Okay.
The opportunity is everywhere, right? But if you do the job that you don't like it, no matter what it turn out to be, you're gonna not like it. But if the job that you did, you are fun to do that. It's like you playing game all the time for 30 years. That's cool, right?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Abhijay. That's really interesting. We've just got some more questions in now from some attendees. One of them is, can you describe what goes on through your mind when you're performing a surgery?
Don't worry about that. When you train, you go to the training, they will train you. You all think, all in your mind is about what to do, to make it better. So it's like, I would say it's like playing your video games. Don't worry. When you train and you finish your training, you are capable to do things. There are only few surgery that is very stressful.
Okay.
That's the one is a very big cases, right? And sometimes that's not happen all the time. Most of the surgery you perform and you perform well, it's like you are trained already, right? You know what to do. You know your step. You know what is the important thing to do. You know what is the danger part. Don't touch it. Source of that. So don't worry about that. You will be fine.
Okay, so they give you some training on how you can train your mind and focus on the task at hand. And Dr. Abhijay, just speaking about, like you were saying, about the difficultness of some surgeries, how long was the longest surgery that you ever performed? How many hours was it?
Oh, that can take me 10 hours.
10 hours. And can you...
Because some, just like microsurgery, it's a tedious operation. It requires a lot of time and technical skill. But that sometimes you can have we call assistant. You can have your friend help you. And today we have a very good equipment. The equipment today, the microscope, the instrument is much, much more better than 20 years ago. So that helps a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. And what kind of surgery was it that you were doing for 10 hours?
Most of them is a microsurgery.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Abhijay, how do you handle an emergency and over workload?
The emergency is actually, you have to be kinds of, you have to organize yourself, right? If you want to be a doctor, you know where is your spare time when you have to make your shift, right? So you have to manage yourself. I think you can do that, right? But sometimes it's a bit difficult when you are in your training. They require you to do a lot of work because they want you to be a good doctor. So think of that and you'll probably be happy. You have a lot of experience, you have did a lot of job that is difficult, and it will turn out that finally when you finish your training, you will be a very experienced and very skillful doctor. Think of that and you will probably be happy.
Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. And it answers the question quite clearly. Dr. Abhijay, we have another question. Are there a lot of surgeries, or what is the ratio of surgeries that tend to go not as planned? And how do you deal with these situations when they arise?
Yes. There's source of that you have planned and it's not going that way. But don't worry, you will be trained. As a doctor, the safety is a priority, right? Sometimes we have to change our operation. We have to make it easier. We have to make decision not go further because of the safety. That situation will be in your trend. And basically, what we concern most is the safety of the patient. So many times that we have to say that, okay, we're gonna stop this one, right? We're gonna go back and thinking about what other option we can have. Just like we probably not to touch this vessel, it's too dangerous. We probably stop this and then we go for a radiation to get rid of a little bit tumor that in source of that. So I know, don't worry, they will little by little be your skill.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Abhijay. And of course, one of the questions that everybody would like to know is, how many years does it take to be a qualified, certified plastic surgeon?
We have two systems in Thailand. When you graduate from your medical school, in Thai system, it's compulsory for you to work as a GP for 3 years, right? That's including 1 year as an intern. So let's make it 2 years. And then you go back for training. We have two systems. One system is directly to be a plastic surgeon, a 5 year straight. After you finish this, you will get your diploma for the
Okay.
plastic surgeon. The other way is that you go 4 year for your general surgery, you get your diploma for general surgery, and then another 3 years, made altogether 7 years. But
Okay.
you will get two diplomated, general surgeon and the plastic surgeon. We have two systems.
Okay. Thank you so much. And which
Yeah.
route did you take?
In my time, it's 5 years. So it's a straight. It's straight. We only have this second system, let's say, 15 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so you were
At the
the
beginning, there
original
only
system.
one straight to be just plastic surgeon. We have the second system because we know that many general surgeons, when they practice general surgeon for quite some time, they probably decides want to be a plastic surgeon, but they don't have to go to the basic fundamental skill because they already have that. So that for them, only 3 years. Right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Apichai, one of the questions from the students is, what would you do if you had the chance to start all over again? Or would you still choose the same path that you're on right now?
For me,
Yes.
yeah, I think I have fun doing this 20 years. So
what
that's
is-
why I have to say that if you want to be a doctor and you want to choose your specialty, the main thing is that you have to like.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. And Dr. Apichai, can you share with us a highlight of your career?
My highlight,
Yeah, a highlight. One of the highlights that you can remember off the top of your head and just say, oh yes, I remember that there was that one time.
you mean go out on a mission with Orange Smile?
With Operation Smile or in your career, yes.
Yeah, have fun joining Orange Smile. And one thing that we have many years ago, we have the mission to Nepal. It's fascinating. We have to let's say the hospital that we are going to have a surgery
Yes.
haven't opened yet.
Okay.
So our team have to scrub the floor. We have to do a painting. We have to fix everything, and then we start the operation, which is the first case of the whole hospital. And actually, the hospital is only 20% finished. Part of that is the theater and a small ward. The other part is not. It's in the construction. So we kind of be opening the new theater of this hospital, but it's went very well, and everybody happy. We have done not many, 40 cases in pilot. And the first day we are very, very fearful because this is very new, and this hospital system is very new. Fortunately, we have very good anesthesiologists. We have very good scrub nurse. Our nurse is very good. We check everything, the pipeline, the power, the water, everything is just,
Yes.
that's just fun when we looking back. But at that time, it's a little bit scary.
I can imagine. It's
Yeah.
like, Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. And
Yeah.
what, in your opinion, what do you think is the hardest surgery to perform? What is
I think every specialty they have a plastic surgeon as if considering by most of the surgeon, probably be the one that is not so intense. If you look at the cardiovascular surgeon, the neurosurgeon, they probably have the more intense because that is life-threatening, right?
Yes.
Plastic surgery is more like going to the detail, make it perfect, sort of that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. We have one more, and a few more questions for you. Thank you so much. One of the questions is, what do you need to do when you're in the middle of a surgery and you need to go use the bathroom? What do you do in this situation?
That's not happened a lot when I was younger.
Okay.
Because it's like you go into the wall, right? You only focus on your surgeries. Basically,
Yes.
I don't think you. But sometimes then you can go. Don't worry. You just, if you are junior, you just directly told your senior that I need to go to the bathroom, sorry, and they will let you go. But if you'll be a senior, maybe you don't have to ask. You just, okay, I'll come back.
Okay, wow, okay, thank you so much. Yes,
Yeah.
because it's a natural process. So just one more question. How does the Western medical system differ to the Thai system? Are there any major differences?
If you mean the technology and I think it's probably the same now. But if you mean the system, that's different. We have to, our system of the medical professional is like a little bit socialist, right? If you are in the United States, 90%, I think 80% of the medical system that is a kind of business. It's a business system. So your allowance, your income will be much higher, but there's a drawback in a little bit, something that we don't have here. So I think in European country, the system is more like us. It's like a socialist. It means that most of the doctors work for the government. The allowance is good, but not just like in United States. But you have you don't have much of the illegal suitcase source of that, right? You don't have to have your insurance, a lot of money insurance. So the system is different, yes. But if you ask for the technology, Thailand and other part of the world, probably, I mean, a developing country is probably the same. We are luckily, I have always talked to my friend that our teacher, our mentor 50 years ago have done a great job for the medical professional in Thailand. That's why we have our luxuries today for the medical professional in Thailand.
Okay, thank you so much. Very interesting. Dr. Abhijay, one of the other questions is cleft lip and cleft palate surgeries. At what age do you perform those surgeries on the patients in Thailand? Does that differ to the US? And when you first became a plastic surgeon, was the age different to perform the surgeries?
I think you have to different. A cleft lip actually is we want to change the look of the patient, right? So if you look fundamentally, you can have the surgery done on the first day or second day after the child was born. But for Thailand, we know that cleft lip sometimes they have other anomaly, and it's very a little bit dangerous to put the child into the anesthesia on the first week or first month. So when 30 years ago, we said that, okay, we call rule of tens. We wait 10 weeks, 10 pounds, the hemoglobin 10s. It means about 3 months. And we keep reconsidering that if we're going to change, 30 years have passed, we have new technology, we have a lot of things. But I think most of the plastic surgeons in Thailand, we agree that I think the 3-month time is a good time. Good for everything, for surgery, for anesthesiologist, for the patient and child to make a bonding before surgery, and for the recovery of the child. So I think most of the surgeons in Thailand is still happy to keep on that 3 months. For the palate, I think it's the same. Most of the surgeons will perform that during the 9 to 12 months because that regarding the speech of the patient, right?
Okay, thank you so much. Very interesting. One of the other questions that we've just got in is, can a plastic surgeon only operate on a cleft lip or cleft palate, or can a general surgeon also operate on a cleft lip or cleft palate?
Surgeons tend to do what they are trained for, right? In Thailand, cleft palate mostly done by plastic surgeon, fused by a dentist that have further their education in the maxillofacial, right? But if you went to another country, it's a good chance that I joined Open Smile in Bolivia. I don't know exactly this change or not. I have a friend 20 years ago, they are pediatric surgeon. Very, very few pediatric surgeons do the cleft and palate, but in Bolivia, they did that. In Italy, most of this job is belong to maxillofacial surgeon. So it depends on the system of the country. But globally, mostly the plastic surgeon will do that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Abhijay. One of the other questions that the students want to know is, what is the biggest challenge in healthcare at this moment?
You mean Thailand?
Yeah, in Thailand.
The healthcare is a big system. So if you look in the detail, there are probably a lot of things that you're not happy with them. But if you look at the big picture, actually, this is one of the systems that our citizens don't have to pay a lot of money
Okay.
for their health. So I still think that is a good way to do that. You don't want to spend all your saving during the last year of your life, spend all over for your healthcare, right? Nobody want that.
Yeah.
So I know that if you keep the system, it's a little bit more socialist. It had a lot of drawback, but finally, I still think that it's a good one. That's my opinion.
Okay,
Of
thank you
course.
so much. It's a great opinion. Dr. Vijay, we've got another question from a student. They want to know, for time management in medical school, what tips could you give what tips would you give?
Because I working in a university hospital, I know what is a different. When I was young, the situation is different from now.
Yes.
Now I talk to my medical student, my residents. I know that the main idea of the people is different. When I was young, the training is mean that your mental. We say that you have to do everything. That if that means you probably have a 3 or 4 hours sleep for all the weeks.
Okay.
And most of us kind of glad to do that because we want to make it done. That mentality has changed now.
Okay.
I realize that and I accept that. So I think the most important thing that you have to figure out your system, and you have to organize them. Try to make a pro and con for each size. Try to do that. I know it's a bit difficult when you are in your junior, but if you can accomplish that, that will make you a lot of mentally strength. Right.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got 3 more questions here. One of the students wants to know, she says, I want to be a doctor, but I'm afraid of blood. What should I do?
There's a lot of specialty that you don't have to see. But when I was a medical student, one of my friends, we went to the delivery room. And when we start seeing the child coming out, he fainted. And now he's a nephrologist, a good one in New York, I think. So there are a lot of specialty that you don't have to see the blood. Yeah.
So there's a lot of specialities that you don't have to see.
Yes.
Blood. Okay, well, thank you so much. We have another question. Dr. Abichai, what part of our body is the hardest to perform surgery on?
It's very difficult.
Yes.
Most of the surgeons have their ego, just myself. So they probably say, oh yes, my field. My field is the hardest. That is the most important thing. So don't worry about that.
Okay, and in your opinion, what is the hardest?
I think many fields in the past is the hardest one. But when time passes, you understand it much better. You have really good equipment. It turns to be much more easier. That is a medical professional do. We study things, a lot of things in the past that is impossible to do. Now it's very easy. And many things doesn't exist the last 30 years, but now they're coming up. And that's probably be difficult because it's new, right? So it's difficult to say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Abichai. Dr. Abichai, we have a really another question here. Will doctors one day be replaced by AI robots in the future? How do you see technology coming into medicine in your...
Yeah, technology is coming into medicines and it's difficult to say, but for my opinion, I think anyway, humans have to rectify the AIs, right?
Yes.
So it probably take part of your job. You don't have to do that part, but you will have a new part. I think 100% you have a new part to play. That probably be something different from the past. Don't worry too much about that. I know people keep saying about this, but new things coming up every day. The AI probably replace the old-fashioned thing that we have did. But the new thing coming up, the new thing need a new idea, need kinds of a new technology That is your new generation job to do that. Don't worry.
Okay, so unfortunately we're out of time now, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Dr. Apichai, for being here and making time to answer all of these questions. We will answer all the unanswered questions in our Facebook by the 30th of November. So thank you so much, Dr. Apichai, for being here today. It's been a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye. Thank you so much, Dr. Apichai. So that was really interesting by Dr. Apichai. Thank you so much. Okay, so our next video is Michael Trevino, who is an international SMILE ambassador. Michael Trevino joined the week-long medical mission in Mae Hong Son back in 2019, and you may know him from Vampire Diaries or Roswell on Netflix. We are glad that Michael could send a video in and be a part of this webinar. So let's take a look at his 2 videos and see his journey with Operation SMILE in Thailand. Thank you.
This may sound a bit crazy, but have you ever seen a person's life change? I've been a proud supporter of Operation SMILE for 8 years and recently traveled to Thailand for my first medical mission. The world is such a huge place. The more of it you see, the more you realize you haven't seen. The most obvious thing I noticed during this trip was why they call it the Land of Smiles. I remember showing up to the facility in Mae Hong Son and seeing so many people there who had traveled together. I followed one family through this process with a child named Kasin.
We had a full day of screening yesterday. Today is the first day of procedures, and my buddy here, Kasin, this is his first day. He's about to go in a few hours to get this operation done on his cleft lip.
Looking in the eyes of someone so young, it made me wonder if he would have any memories of this moment. It's a moment I'll never forget. Fixing his bilateral cleft lip so he can smile just the same as anyone else. Fast forward to the operating room, which I thought I was prepared for. Seeing the types of surgeries taking place by the head surgeon, with the residents all around them. Everybody working as one cohesive unit. I'm so grateful to have been in those rooms and observed firsthand.
This is Kasin, one day out of operation. He did a great job. And he's healthy and he's here. Now he's on the road to recovery with his family, and it's just amazing what Operation SMILE provides.
Each mission is unique to its location, and I was impressed with the love and care shown by this crew. Through the rest of my travels, I gained a feeling that to be Thai meant to be humble, kind, giving. I believe Operation SMILE is changing lives throughout the world, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Okay, here we go. Hey guys, this message is for the Operation SMILE students in Thailand. My name is Michael Trevino, and I have been a proud supporter of Operation SMILE for over 10 years now. And so this message is for you. I just want to chat with you for a little bit and tell you about myself and how I got involved with Operation SMILE. So it was about 10 years ago, and I was invited to an event, an Operation SMILE charity event in Park City, Utah. And at that time, I was somebody's plus one. I was a guest to this event. And I can remember what was most impactful during that time was the videos that were being shown during that event. And seeing people going on these medical missions, right? And the work that was being done worldwide, right? But I can remember one specifically was in Thailand. And it really hit me how these surgeries on a cleft palate, cleft lip, not only changes the life of the child, but also changes the life of their family, their loved ones, their surrounding towns, neighborhoods, villages. And I thought, wow, that is something incredible. Here is an operation, a surgery that these surgeons are donating their time and energy and effort and providing these surgeries, and it's changing these children's lives because they have either been shunned or outcast or looked down on because of their deformity. So at that time, it really hit me, and I said, I need to be involved. I need to be a part of this. And so since then, going on 10 plus years, I have been involved with Operation SMILE. I am a proud ambassador. I try to raise awareness any time that I can. And so I'm like you. I'm like you, except you are starting way, way earlier than I am. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So when it comes to the students, right? You guys are young. God bless you. But you are young, so this is great. You're in early. And I feel that you are the future. That sounds cliche, but it's the truth. You are the future. And the time and energy that you're giving to this cause, to Operation Smile, is going to change your life. You may not know it yet. You may be feeling it, and that's great. But I think in the long run, it is going to make you a better person, a better human being, to be kind, to be of service, to be giving. And you guys are incredible, and you're doing incredible work. And I feel like, especially Thailand holds a special place in my heart because that was my first medical mission. In 2019, I was in Mae Hong Son. And the people that I came across, the encounters that I had, spending time with these families, and everything that was encompassing on the mission as a whole, right? As far as pre-scanning these families, out of the 93, I believe it was 93 patients that were submitted, 64 were able to get a surgery, which is an incredibly huge number. And so that's always going to stick with me. I mean, there's a video on my social media of the mission that I had in Thailand, which is just life-changing. And so more than being there for Operation Smile and the community that you guys are as students, this is going to change your life. This is going to change your life. It is great to be a part of you, even from afar, right? The Operation Smile is a community. It is a family. And the more awareness that we can bring to what Operation Smile does, we're changing lives, like literally changing lives. That's not, I'm not just saying that, that's the truth. And I genuinely believe that. So we are family, Operation Smile family. And I like to think that we are doing great work. And you students are the future. You're going to carry that on, right? To your family, your friends, your loved ones, people around you, your inner circle. You're going to tell them about the work that Operation Smile does and your part in it, right? You are part of Operation Smile. And so this message is for you guys. I love you all. You guys are incredible human beings. Again, you are the future. Thank you for being a part of Operation Smile. And I hope to see you on a mission soon. Take care, guys.
Hello and welcome back. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Kun Panida Promchanya. Kun Panida is the Executive Director at Operation Smile. After this video, we will have a 15-minute break. Please be back at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone for joining us today on the first ever Operation Smile Thailand student webinar, A Doctor Journey. Since 2007, Operation Smile Thailand has been focusing on developing the future generations. We work with more than 3,000 students on our medical missions with the purpose of developing the future volunteers, so help can always be available. Thanks to all the speakers and to all the students today for making this wonderful event. We wish you all the best and hope to see you on our medical mission one day as a doctor. Thank you.
hope you've had a great break. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome and introduce you to my co-host and colleague, Mayvadi Shavacharan, who is the Resource Development Manager at Operation Smile. Thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you everybody for being here today.
Next up, we have two discussion panels. We'll have the first discussion panel is a student's life, and the second panel will be a doctor's life.
Yes, so let's start with the first discussion panel. So please welcome Ticha Pairin, a fifth-year medical student at the Faculty of Medicine, Srinakarin Virod University in Thailand. Papichaya Katanyutanon, a first medical student at the University of St. Andrews in the United Kingdom. Rata Siri Maharaj, currently studying a Bachelor of Biomedical Science at Monash University in Australia.
Thank you so much and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know that everybody is really excited. So the first question we're going to ask you to do is introduce yourself in more detail. We'll start with Kun Klau. Would you like to introduce yourself to the attendees?
Yep. Hi, my name is Rata Siri Maharaj, or you can call me Klau. I'm from Bangkok and I went to the Kilmore International School in Melbourne. Then I went straight into studying the Bachelor of Biomedical Science at Monash University. I'm currently in my final year of my undergraduate degree and I'll be starting a 4-year medical degree at Flinders University next year.
Okay, thank you. And Kun Ink, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Papichaya Katanyutanon, but my nickname's Ink. I'm originally from Bangkok. I studied at Cheltenham Ladies College in Cheltenham, which is 2 hours away from London, before coming straight to the University of St. Andrews to study medicine.
Thank you so much. And Kun Chacha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Tisha Parin and my nickname is Chacha, and I live in Bangkok, Thailand, although my university is located in Ongkarak, Nakhon Nayok. I studied in the Regent's International School of Bangkok for primary school, and then for secondary school, it's Amway Sitten School. I'm currently studying at the Faculty of Medicine, Srinakarin Virod University.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, great. So we'll start off with our questions. I know that you all three study in different countries. Nongsha, you are in Thailand. Kun Ink, you are in the UK. And Kun Klau, you are studying in Australia. Could you tell us why you chose these countries to study medicine? Let's start with Kun Ink.
I chose this school before because it was easier to transition since I was already in a high school in the UK. So by transitioning from a high school in the UK to a university in the UK, it was just more smooth and I'm used to the culture and the teaching styles already.
Okay.
Also, it's more convenient for my teachers as they're more accustomed to the UK system, so it's easier that way.
Okay, thank you. And Kun Chacha, could you explain why you chose to study in the university that you're at?
Yeah, for me, the reason is quite simple. It's because I live in Thailand, and so I am familiar with how the systems work. Also, back in those days, I haven't researched anything about going abroad, so that's why I've never considered about this option.
Okay, thank you so much. And Kun Klau.
The reason is similar for me as well. It was because I was already studying in high school in Australia, so applying to an Australian university is pretty convenient. And also it's because Australia offers 2 pathways into medicine, so it maximizes my chance of getting to medicine. There's one direct entry for high school leavers and a graduate entry for those who have done an undergraduate degree before.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll start with our questions now, our discussion panel. So one of the first questions is, did you find your final GPA in high school played a big role into getting into medical school? Let's start with Kun Klau.
For most Australian medical school, GPA does play some role in getting accepted, but usually just a good GPA won't be enough to get an offer because mostly the interview and the admission test scores collectively would weigh more than 50% of your final score. So if you have like a mediocre GPA but do really good in your interview and your admission test, there's still a high chance of getting accepted.
Okay, thank you so much. Very interesting. Kun Ink.
It does play quite an important part for the UCAS process. So it's your GPA and your personal statement would be what invites you to get an interview. However, as soon as you're given the invite or like offer to do the interview, it's like you're starting at a clean state. But every university weighs interviewing and GPA differently. For example, in the University of St. Andrews, they're mostly basing their decision on the MMIs of their interview.
Okay, thank you so much. And Kun Chacha, did the GPA play a big role in Thailand?
Not for me, because what matters most is the scores from the entrance exam, because it is a factor that will determine which university you'll be able to go to.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So we're going to now separate the questions. Nong Clau, Kun Clau, could you share with us your personal experience about your application process into medical school?
Yeah. So I actually applied to medicine twice. First time was in my final high school year, and I was unsuccessful in my direct entry application at that time. Okay. So I went with my plan B, which was to do the Bachelor of Biomedical Science first, and then apply for the graduate entry medical program. For the direct entry application, I took the ISAT, which is the International Student Admission Test, and then I did an interview. The acceptance decision wasn't made by the universities until my final high school grade was out. And then for my graduate entry, I submitted my current GPA first, and then took the GAMSAT, which is the Graduate Australian Medical School Admission Test, and then attended interviews. Offers for international students are often on a rolling basis, and they make conditional offers as well. So for me right now, because I'm in my final year, my offer is conditional, and I'll be given a full offer once I have successfully graduated my degree.
Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. And Nong Chacha, did you need any specific documents, portfolios, or recommendation letters when you applied for medical school?
Okay, so for specific documents will be like all the legal stuff. And I did prepare a portfolio for the interview. However, it is not the main considerations. Recommendation letters, no. Although I do need it after graduating med school in order to apply for residency and so on.
Okay, thank you so much. Kun Ing, we just would like to know from you, what were the questions during the interview for medical school?
So most universities in the UK use this interview technique called the multiple mini interviews, or MMIs. There's 4 to 6 stations in each interview, and each station will focus on a different aspects of medicine. For me, I had 2 ethical stations, a role play station, a portfolio station, a situational judgment station, and then a general recent debate or like general news in medicine station. Okay. So most of the questions will be sort of like riddles, where you're a medical student or a doctor and you're given a situation where you have to find the solution to the problem. So one of mine was that I was given a situation of being an oncologist, and I was talking to a stage 4 cancer patient who wanted to use mushrooms instead of chemotherapy to treat their cancer.
Right.
Okay, great. Yeah. And did you find that the questions were really difficult or easy?
I found that it's easier to just say everything. So just tell the interviewer your whole thought process, because sometimes it feels like you're not answering the question because the questions are quite in-depth. Okay. So by just saying your whole thought process, sometimes the interviewer are quite nice and they pick up on like points, and they're just like asking you to expand on that point, which I think would be easier for everyone.
Okay, so thank you so much. So it's better just to explain your whole thought process. Okay, thank you so much. Kun Clau, If a student is interested in studying medicine, what advice would you give them?
I think it's best to plan ahead and give yourself enough time to do the things you need to do. And also do lots of research on the medical school you're interested in. Don't think that it's too early to start because many universities will give their offer out on a rolling basis. So the earlier you start, the better chance you have at getting in. And also there are many pathways at getting into medicine, so don't limit your chance into like looking just one pathway.
Okay, so explore all the different avenues into getting into medicine and don't give up. Thank you so much. Kun Ink, the next question is for you. The students want to know, what are the pros and cons of studying medicine online during this COVID-19 situation?
So my course, we both currently offer a in-person and online. So for in-person, it's like we have to go in to do the dissections and also the clinical aspects, but we're doing our lab practicals and our lectures online. So the pros of getting lectures online is that they're all recorded and pre-recorded, which means you can rewatch them at your own pace and go through the parts you don't understand the first time around as many times as you want. And it also means that you can always watch your lectures anytime. It's like you create your own timetable. But the cons is that it's really hard to then email the lecturers about any questions you have, since you have to specify exactly which part of the lecture on which lecture it came from. And also the labs are really hard to do online because you're just watching a teacher do the practical rather than doing it yourself. So sometimes when you're writing follow-up reports on the labs, you just have to keep emailing the teacher on, oh, I misunderstood this step. How do you actually do it?
Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. So our next question is for Kun Chacha. Kun Chacha, how did you find the transition from high school to medical school in the first year?
For me, it is quite stressful because I'm expected to learn new information more quickly than I've ever before. And sometimes I get discouraged, although I kept telling myself that I'll find the methods and the schedule that works for me. And I did eventually.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, great. And our next question is for Kun Clau. Kun Clau, we'd like to know, how did you remain motivated? How do you remain motivated while you study?
For me, it's about thinking about my goal and what I want to achieve in the long term.
Okay.
And with that being said, it's also important to have a balance and don't overwhelm yourself. It's totally okay and normal to have some ups and downs. So whenever you feel like overwhelmed, you can reach out to others and get support around you.
Okay, thank you so much. And what an interesting question. So we'll ask the question to everyone. Kun Ink, would you like to tell us what kept you motivated?
For me, I'm the type of person who will have set clear goals of what I want to achieve in the futures. And then I stay motivated by thinking of that goal and understanding that the path I am currently taking is what I need to take to reach that goal. But I also have like a really strong and great support system from both my friends and family and then the peer mentors within the school. They help me by just getting me through, and just whenever I'm feeling down, they help motivate me and remind me of how far I've already came.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And Kun Cha, what has kept you motivated through high school, medical school, and now first year?
Having a work-life balance and taking breaks or maybe take a nap when you're tired. And personally, I make a daily schedule and make checklists every day on what I want to study. So when I've completed one of the tasks, I'll tick it out right away. So I know that I've completed something proactive.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so it's good to remain motivated and find ways to keep yourself motivated. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, our next question is for Kun Kao. Kun Klau, what are the personal attributes that you think are most important in this career path?
Some of the attributes I think I found to be especially important in the medical field are empathy and self-reflection. First, for empathy, I think keeping an empathic mindset can help you widen your perspective and also see from the patient's point of view, because after all, it's their health and their life that we're dealing with. Also, medicine is difficult, and there will be times you may feel like you're not doing as good as you hope for. So I think during times like this, self-reflection is very important in order for you to see what you can do to improve in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. And Kun Ing, what personal attributes do you think make somebody a great doctor or student to become a doctor?
In my opinion, my two most important personal attributes are communication skills and empathy. So as a doctor, you will have to communicate with many different people, and your tones and the way you talk to each person will have to differ. You will need to have a good communication skills so that you can ensure there isn't a miscommunication between you and your colleague or you and your patient regarding their treatments or any other aspects of their conditions. Also, as I mentioned, I think empathy is very important because you need to be showing that you understand the patient and you are empathizing with what they are going through without dismissing their concerns and without sounding patronizing or pitiful.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that communication and empathy are really important. Kun Chacha, what about you?
So coming up to the point where you have to meet like real patients every day, I'll honestly say that studying is not the only answer, because you do need a lot of responsibility in order to take care of your patients effectively. And people skills are also important, although you don't have to be an extrovert to become a good doctor.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's really interesting. We've got a few questions now, which Mayvadi will read out to you from the students, the attendees. Okay.
Yes, did. So we received a few questions, so we'll be asking. So if anybody wants to answer that, please feel free. So the first question is there a story or experience that inspired you to become a doctor? Did you experience anything personal that inspired you, ignited that fire to become a doctor? Let's start with Nong Klao,ค่ะ Kun Klao.
Not particularly for me, because I think for me it's because I grew up in an environment where I see lots of doctors. So naturally, I just followed that path. Yeah.
Yes, because from our understanding, your parents are also doctors, correct?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. What about Kun Ing, ka? What are your personal experience that you had and inspired you?
I feel like mainly being able to witness a lot of surgery since I started working with Operation Smile, and just like the before and afters of each surgery really inspired me and kind of like set me in the path, because I was in the middle of deciding between engineering and doctor. So it was kind of like, it was those experiences that pushed me towards being medical student.
Wow, that's great. What about Kun Chacha, ka?
It's quite the same for me, because the things that have inspired me the most is when back when I was a kid and when I went to all the missions for Operation Smile. Yeah, it really made me want to pursue the dreams of a doctor.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. So in some way, somehow, they went to, they joined our mission, and it's inspired all of them to become a doctor themselves.
Yeah,
that's
so we
great.
have another question. Yeah, it's really
Yes,
interesting. One of the questions, the follow-up questions is, what was your one experience with Operation Smile that you remember fondly? Let's start with Kun Klao.
For me, I think it would be when I got to observe the surgical process, when they were like helping a children with like cleft lip, yeah, I think it was when I saw that surgery that was really amazing to watch. Yeah.
Oh, wow, thank you. Okay, and Kun Ing, what
Mine is
experience do you
also
remember?
mine's also quite similar. So it was when I went to like Mae Hong Son for one of the missions and was being able to go into the surgical room and observing the surgery. They were operating on someone with a minor burn, I think, and then it was really nice to be able to observe it and have the process explained to me as they were like treating the burn.
Okay,
Thank you.
so much. And
คุณชาชาค่ะ
Yeah, and mine's about observing surgery as well. It's because like it's the first time I've been into an operation room, and it's like very exciting for me.
So from what I hear, Dean,
Yeah.
apparently being able to be in the operating room inspired these young ladies to pursue this wonderful career.
It's a great opportunity.
Yes.
We welcome all students to join us on medical missions. If you're interested in joining us, please contact us. So thank you so much. We've got some more questions here. Nong Ing, we've got a question for you. How did you prepare for the MMI exam?
It was really hard, but there are many different websites which offers you insight onto many different questions that has been asked by previous university in previous years. So it's just they don't really reuse the questions, but it kind of gives you an idea of what type of questions will be there. So that was mainly how I prepared for it, and I asked my mom to act as if she's an interviewer. And asked me the questions and then told me if she was in the interviewer's position with the mark scheme given, would she let me pass?
Okay, so it's good to prepare before. Get a lot of preparation in before. Okay, well, thank you so much. Okay, the next question is for Kun Klau. Is there a story or experience that okay, sorry, we've asked this question already. Kun Chacha, sorry. How do you stay up to date with medical news? Any websites or journals that you would recommend to the students?
The website that I would recommend is called Up to Date. Yeah, and it gave me a lot of knowledge and also the new researches. Yeah, and it helps a lot.
Okay. Is there any specific website or journal that you regularly read?
It would be Williams Obstetrics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Okay. How much free time do you have? Do you feel the need to cancel plans or just make time for studying only, do you think? So let's start with Kun Chacha.
I don't I make time for studying, but I don't cancel every activities that I'll do in my life, and I'll just have some break time as well and a time for studying.
Okay. So it's good to have a balance.
Yeah.
Okay, and Kun Ing.
Mine's quite similar. I already made plans for studying, so I tried to reach my goals of what I'm trying, of how many lectures or how much of my work would I want to get done within the week, but I also don't cancel my plans.
Okay, great. Yeah, and then Kun Klau.
I haven't actually started medicine yet, but I think I'll be similar to the other two speakers, which is having a schedule and having a work-life balance.
Okay, thank you so much. This is really interesting. We have another question just coming in. What should high school students do to prepare to study medicine in the future? What are 3 tips that you could each give to the students about if they wanted to study medicine in the future? Let's start with Kun Ing.
For me, it's just to keep up to date, as in be prepared to just be able to research any recent news, because they're gonna ask you when you walk for me, when we walk into dissection, sometimes like the teacher just goes like, oh, anyone, have you read any news yet recently about this topic? And just be prepared that the teacher will sometimes test you on it. Because as like, I think in the UK, as a doctor, you're supposed to be completely up to date with all the news that recently came out within the medical field.
Okay. And Kun Chacha.
The tips for me would be like to study regularly. I mean, like every day, but not too much. Yeah, just study every day so you'll have like a baseline knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And Kun Cloud.
Yeah, for me, if you're in your last year of high school and applying for medicine right now, I would say to really research the universities you're applying for, because that would be really useful during the interview process.
Okay, so basically do a lot of preparation, make sure you know your homework, and stay up to date with all the information on medical school regulations. Well, thank you so much. That's really interesting. Okay, May.
Yes, so we have a question. I think this one is towards Kun Chacha, because you are in the 5th year now. So a question that came in was, would you do it again if you have to go back and choose that, now that you're in the 5th year, if you have to go back in time, would you choose to start all over again like this?
Personally, I wouldn't want to do it again because, to be honest, it's very tiring getting into a medical school, and I like the way I am right now.
Okay, it's been fulfilling, right?
It's
Tiring
been fulfilling.
but fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Well,
But you wouldn't do it again?
No.
Okay.
Once is enough. Okay,
And
great.
as for, let's ask everybody
Yeah,
at
let's
this
ask
point. So,
everyone, yeah.
Ink, after all the exams that you took, would you do it again?
Not particularly.
Okay. So you're glad that it's
over,
done.
and I'm glad I'm here. And I'm
Okay.
glad I'm a first-year medical student, and I wouldn't have to go through those entrance exams or interview again anytime soon.
Okay. So last but not least, Kun Klau. So you're about to become a medical student soon, because in the Australian system, you have to take a bachelor degree in science first in order to enroll in a medical school. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can take a bachelor degree in any area, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So are you looking forward for your exams into the medical school now?
Not really looking forward to it, but yeah, I guess I'm excited for medical school.
Okay, that's great.
It seems really tough, but it also seems really rewarding.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a last question, any recommendations for students who want to become a doctor? What would you recommend when they decide to apply to medical school? What final recommendation would you give them? Let's start with Kun Klau.
I would say just go for it and give in your best. So yeah, pretty much just prepare everything and give in 100%.
Okay. And Kun Chacha.
Just don't give up, and just keep trying, and someday you'll achieve it.
Okay, and Kun Ing.
Just maybe be aware there's many different pathways, and like Shasha said, like don't give up and just stay motivated, because if you've given it your all, you don't feel disappointed or anything. Like just try your best and don't give up.
And one of the questions that came in was having a plan B and a backup plan. I know that Kun Klau, you mentioned that your plan B was to go and do a biochemical science degree. Kun Ink and Kun Chacha, what were your plan Bs if your initial application wasn't as successful? Kun Chacha, yes.
I haven't had any plan Bs really, but what I thought, if I didn't like achieve my goal that year, I'll redo it the next year.
Okay, so you had a plan A and you're going to repeat your plan A.
Yeah.
And your plan B was basically just keep trying until you got in. Okay, that's really great. And Kun Ing.
I was gonna do a chemistry degree and then apply for graduate medical school.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. And Kun Cloud, did you have any other plans?
Oh no, I just had two plans, one A and B. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Okay.
Okay, so we got in another question. It's more personal this time. So how much sleep do medical students get per night? Are we going by hours? Let's start with Kun Chacha. How many hours per night do you get?
Okay, so currently I've got about 5 hours max each night. Yeah, 5 hours, because I gotta like get up around 6, yeah, in the morning, and I had to clear up all the work. Yeah, so I can't sleep too early. Yeah.
5 hours, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Is that enough for you, Kun Chacha?
It'll be enough.
It will be enough, okay.
Yeah.
What about Kun Inka? How many hours do you get to sleep each night?
5 to 7. It depends on the workload of the day. I get to
Okay.
sleep a lot more during like Saturday night coming into Sunday because I don't have to like wake up early, but usually it's around 5 to 7.
About 7, okay. What about Kun Cloud, ka?
For me, as a third year non-med student, I get around 6 hours, 6 to 7, depending on like the workload. If it's in the beginning of the semester, then I get quite a lot of sleep. But during the assignments and exams time, it just naturally decreases.
Of course, right. So that's how much sleep they're getting.
Yeah, it seems like very little for you guys, but it's good. It's great that you are so motivated and you're wanting to do
Exactly.
this. You know, you're the future of medicine, and it's really exciting to see how the future is growing. So, in your personal experiences, so there's a question that keeps coming up, and it's a question that also came up with Dr. Apichai, is technology and medicine. What is your view on technology and medicine? Are you excited about this?
Yeah.
Kun Chacha,
Yeah.
let's start with you. Yes.
I think technology is very important in medicine because I know you have to learn new technologies every day. Yeah, because to keep up with the world of things. Yeah.
Okay, so wearable technology is definitely something that's coming in. And Kun Ing, what's your standpoint on technology and medicine?
I think technology just continually improve, and I think being able to just incorporate that into medicine could potentially help like the medical advancements happen faster, but I'm not too sure.
Okay, and Kun Cloud.
I think technology is definitely helping a lot with like medicine. For example, I think it makes it easier to reach more people with like, for example, telehealth becoming like more and more common. So you don't actually need to attend the hospital to get like medical help. You can actually phone in or like video call.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Very interesting. And of course, we've got some more questions just coming in. One of the questions is, what specialization are you looking to go into? Let's start with Kun Chacha.
I'm currently interested in obstetrics and gynecology. Yeah, and I think I'll be going that way.
Okay, great. And why? What made you interested? What was it that interests you about this?
I just love it since I was in the second or third year medical student, and also I just love the daily life for the obstetrics doctor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Kun Ing.
I have no idea.
That's a very honest answer. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to limit myself in thinking of what I want to go into or what I want to do yet, because I feel like I haven't experienced it in real life. Like I haven't actually been able to go into their wards and work and experience the life I would have to get used to if I want to work in that kind of like area. So I don't want to like decide anything ahead, but currently like with learning their anatomies and everything, I'm really interested in cardio.
Okay, so there's a lot of choices out there, but you want to kind of experience all the different choices first to kind of feel which one suits you the most.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. It's a good advice for the students. And Kun Klao.
I'm the same. I think I have no idea because I haven't actually like experienced all the fields yet. But I think I'm quite interested in like the surgery and those things. Yes.
Okay, what kind of surgeon? A general surgeon or plastic surgeon?
Not quite sure actually.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
thinking towards like the plastic surgery.
Okay, great. Your father's a plastic surgeon, am I correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we have another question
Yes,
here.
another question. Okay, this one is about how has COVID-19 affected your study?
This is a good question because
Yes.
this is a situation that we're all experiencing right
Exactly.
now. And I think the students would love to know, like, how has it affected your study? Has it affected your study? In what ways has it affected your studies? And we'll start with Kun Ink with this one.
I mean, it depends on your school. Like for me, the university is very understanding and they have like set regulations on what they're gonna do if you end up getting COVID or if you have to quarantine. And like when we were traveling here, if you had to quarantine, they would like mainly offer all your classes online before you can finally come in person. And by itself already, like the lectures and anything that involves having a big class, so a class more than 10 is delivered online.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that there's like safe social distancing space and everything. So I don't think my study's been that affected by COVID just because of how prepared the university has been about the whole topic.
Right.
Okay, very interesting.
What about Nong Klao? Since you study in Australia, but currently you're, okay, before we got that, Nong Ing currently she's in the UK at the
Yeah.
moment. So thank you so much for joining us from far, far away. And then Nong Klao, you are actually studying in Australia, but currently you're in Thailand. So how has COVID affected your study at the moment?
For me, in terms of like the lectures, because even before COVID, it was also delivered online because the cohort is like so big, so they couldn't really hold everyone in one room. So it was already online. So that was fine. But with the labs and like the practicals, that has become a lot harder because you can't attend there on campus. And I think it's that lack of like person interaction. It's like a bit hard to keep yourself motivated sometimes when you're not in class and doing the study with your friends.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Nong Cha, do you feel the same? Lacking of like classmate interaction?
Yeah, that too, and also like I miss the time to interact with patients and like taking histories or performing physical examinations, which are like very, very important for a medical student.
Right. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah.
So I have another question for you in regards to COVID. So is Google a good friend for a medical student? Can you Google things that you are looking for online? Is that easy? Can you tell us your tricks finding, specific information online?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you have to search like the right way and the right keywords. Yeah, but it definitely helped me through clinic here. Yeah.
Yes. Is the same for you, Ka Kun Ing?
Yeah, definitely. It depends on how you search though.
Okay. And Nong
Yeah.
Kao, do you use Google to your advantage when researching?
Yeah, it's the same.
So basically, we all have access to internet and Google, so we have to know the right keyword at this point, right?
Yeah, so it depends what you want to study and where you want to go with your career. Just always, as all of our three amazing speakers have said, always be prepared. always, know what you want to do, make time for your studies. It is really important. And yeah, just go with your first initial thought. And if you need to have a plan B, then set up a plan B. Yeah.
It's okay to have a plan B.
So we have some more questions coming in. And the other question is, a lot of the students would like to know, when you first decided to study medicine, was it a choice that you made, or was it a choice because you felt this was something that was expected of you?
Let's start with Nong Cha.
Yeah, Nong Cha.
Yes.
Yeah. Was this something that was expected of you from family, or was this something that you wanted to do?
My family is quite amazed when I told them that I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, so no one told me about it. I
Okay.
don't know, I just wanted to be by myself, for myself.
Okay, great. And Nong Eng?
It's quite the same. They were sort of expecting a different degree and different career.
Okay.
So when I told them I wanted to do medicine, they were really happy and they were amazed, but it was not exactly what they were expecting.
Thank you so much. And Nong Kun Klao?
For me, although my parents are doctors, they never even once forced me into doing medicine. But I think it's just being exposed to this environment from since I was born. I just naturally built interest in this area. And also during high school, the school provides the student opportunities to explore many areas by going to open day, and I just built an interest in medicine.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this discussion panel. I'd like to personally thank you all for being here today. I know that you've all taken time out of your busy schedule, and we are very grateful that you could answer some of the questions that the students had for a student's life. Thank you again, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back. That was a really great discussion panel with the students, but now we have another discussion panel, A Doctor's Life.
Yes, it was a very great panel discussion before. So let's move on to the next panel of discussion. So please welcome Associate Professor Tasama Harin-Tanawut, Associate Professor of Medicine, Division of Diabetes, Endocrinology and Metabolism, Department of Medicine, University of Minnesota, and Dr. Sirem On Tongsima, dermatologist at Aesthetic Skin Laser Center, Nakhon Hospital, and the Deputy of Medical Director at Nakhon Hospital. Welcome, Ka.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. And a lot of the students are very excited to hear more about you. Could you please give us an introduction on yourselves in more detail? We'll start with Dr. Tasama.
Hi, everybody. Nice meeting everybody here today. So I graduated from Sirat Medical School, Mahidol University. I did my internship in Kanchanaburi province for 1 year before I returned back to Bangkok as an instructor at the Department of Physiology at my medical school in Sirat Mahidol University. And then I went to Chicago to complete my internal medicine residency training for 3 years. And I got into the endocrinology fellowship for another 3 years before I joined the Division of Endocrinology and Diabetes at the University of Minnesota.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very, very interesting. And Dr. Serimon.
Hi, I also went to Sirirat Medical School, Mahidol University, just like Dr. Tasma. And after that, I went for an internship at Ubon Ratchathani province. Then I went to Boston University and I graduated Master of Science in Dermatology. I spent the later year at Wellman Center for Photomedicine at Massachusetts General Hospital, also in Boston. Yeah, for dermatology training also. And then I came back practicing dermatology at Nakhon Hospital. And recently I went back to an MBA at Sasin School of Business Administration at Chulalongkorn University.
Okay, thank you so much, and we would like to thank you both for being here today. One of our first questions that we were asked by the students is, how long did it take you in years to get to a qualified professional medical doctor? How many years, from school all the way through to when you graduated and were a licensed physician?
Well, I received a Thai education from primary to secondary school. So I got into Thai medical school through the Thailand admission system at the time. So it took 6 years in Thai medical school until you graduate and became a doctor.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Seriman.
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. So we study 6 years in medical school, and you need an extra training to become a specialist. So you need another either between 3 to 5 years or 6 years. If you chose to do surgery, you might need longer, like 5 to 6 years to get into to be a specialist.
Okay, thank you so much. So one of the questions that some of the students we'd like to know also is, Dr. Tasama, what made you want to study internal medicine and diabetes?
So I chose internal medicine because I like to think systematically. So internal medicine is one of the specialties that you have to think systematically. It's like you are like a detective. So you try to find, you have some clue and you try to find the disease that what the patient has. So that's what I like about the internal medicine. The same thing with diabetes and endocrinology. So you have some clue and you will use the clue to find what the patient has.
Okay, thank you so much. And Dr. Seriman, why did you decide to study dermatology?
I was happy when I had my dermatology rotation during medical school. Okay. And at the time, I heard a lot of new devices. So I was interested, in about aesthetic devices, how does it work? I love to study about aesthetic, how it can become scientific in the point of view.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. And our next question is, what personal attributes would you say make somebody a great doctor?
This is a tough question. Yeah. I think it's about lifelong learning. Trying to learn new things all the time. Even right now, we all doctors have to attend conference. Even with COVID, you cannot really go to an actual meeting, but you still have a online meetings from time to time to keep you up to date. Yeah, and also it's about being empathy. Yeah. Okay. I actually joined the previous session, and I was glad to hear that from one of the Nong Chacha.
Oh, Nong Chacha, yes.
Yeah, she talked about being empathized to her patients. That's a very good quality, to have. And I think for me, for extra, I think learning a business skill or an MBA, it doesn't really make you think about the medicine as a profit focused or trying to take advantage of other people, because it actually, to me, it helped me think about other aspects, like non-clinical aspect for patients, so we can see patient point of view, the patient's journey, once they get sick, how they travel to hospital, what they have to face from one department to one department, to the parking lot, to the transportation system. It made me think more about patient. It's not really make me being like a commercial focus or anything. You even think more about health economics in a micro focus, like when it comes to choose an option for treatment for one patient, you can openly discuss with your patients like that.
Very interesting. So by studying this, the patient's journey, you get to find and develop ways to make it easier for the patient, that journey. Dr. Sedemon?
Yes, of course, because for example, if you study about service in hospitality, like a hotel industry or even healthcare, you have to think about the presence of your place and the service, which is perishable. For example, if you compare to hotel industry, you have the room already, but if all the guests coming only for high season, in the low season, you cannot have an income. It's quite similar when you apply to medicine. Like if you have a CT scanner and a big device, high investment that you require high investment for the device, how you can make a lot of use to that device so that it's become more efficient.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's really interesting. Dr. Tassama, what would you say are the pros and cons of studying medicine?
I think studying medicine has multiple pros, but one thing that I think it is major for me is you understand the way of life. It looks like you study the nature of human. It may sound like Buddhism to other people, but it's actually true that you will see the life cycle through your learning and practice. For example, you see the joy when the baby is born or during your OB/GYN rotations, or you can see the sadness from illness or the death when you rotate to other rotations. So I think this can be something that you can learn throughout your learning and your practice as a doctors. The cons, I think there's multiple cons too, but I think that the one that you can obviously see is you may not have a lot of time for yourself. So your personal time for yourself or your family. So I think you need to make sure that you can basically have some time for yourself and some time to your family. Make sure that you can divide your time in your 24 hours for your work and your personal life.
Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. And what was a pro that you remember and a con that you remember personally for yourself? What was something?
I don't think I have any kind of personal thing that I can remember exactly right now. But this is how I'm usually think about like the pros that I usually see, like the nature of life through the practice on my daily basis.
So you see the full circle from birth
Yep.
to death.
Yep.
Okay, and this is something that were you prepared for this when you first entered medicine?
I don't think I prepared for this on my first year or second years of medical school,
yeah.
but I think you learn through your learnings throughout my 6 years and now I think it's 20 years of practice.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's really interesting. And Dr. Suleiman, one of the questions that we have here, in your opinion, how many medical professionals are fulfilled with their choice in pursuing medicine?
If I understand the question right, I think I am asked like a doctor being happy being a doctor.
Yeah, so after studying medicine,
Yeah.
on a scale, what do you think, in your opinion?
So I think personally, studying medicine is very hard, as it requires a lot of time to study a lot of information and technology. But it is very rewarding. Like I can see that for me personally, I think I can use the knowledge to apply to take care my loved one or my family members, friends, anybody who come to get to know me and ask any question. As being a doctor, when we have a house party, even like Thanksgiving party, Christmas party, everyone asks about their health questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the pros of being a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like especially during COVID pandemic, everyone are asking like, what is Sinovac? What is Astra?
Yes.
I took the shot. Can I take it again? When I have this, I took this medicine. Can I have a shot? My mom, my dad, blah blah blah. Like this, I think in the past 6 months, when I see patients, they came with a primary concern, but they always have a second concern about the vaccine.
Okay.
Sometimes I spend like more time answering that question about the COVID vaccine more than their primary concern.
Okay, yeah, I think this is one of the great pros of being a doctor. Everybody knows that they can reach out to you. And talking about COVID-19, Dr. Tosama, can you explain to us a bit about your work working with diabetic patients during this COVID time?
Yeah, so the endocrinology and diabetes is an ideal subspecialty that to work during COVID, because a lot of work we do is a counseling and counseling patients on diabetes, on their lifestyle, on medication. We might not do a lot of examinations. So most of our work is basically discussions and counseling. So telemedicine through the video or the phone is the ideal specialty that for endocrinologists. So in US, most of the practice last year, especially last year in 2020, during COVID is telemedicine. Not counting for the hospital side, but in the outpatient clinic is all the telemedicine. So I think it's good in a way that the patient doesn't need to travel. Some patients in a normal circumstance, they need to travel like 2 or 3 hours to come and see us in the clinic. But during COVID and the use of telemedicine, they don't need to travel. So it's easy for them to be in touch with the doctors.
Okay, thank you so much. It's really interesting. And Dr. Sedemon?
The same question?
Yeah, about COVID-19 and working with patients.
Okay, very interesting to me. Like, yeah, really good question. As I also do administrative work at Nakhon Hospital. So from the first wave to the latest wave in Thailand, I have to say that all the situation is very dynamic. I still remember the first day that we got the COVID patient admitted in the hospital, and we found out like a day later after he got admitted in the hospital from high fever. He came from the boxing cluster. He's one of the people that like a regular goers to the gym, to the boxing gym. And he happened to reside in the area. So even like we have rule and regulation to ask questions for the screening and everything since the pandemic arrived Thailand. But we were still surprised having the real patient admitted in our hospital. And during the first wave, many patients were so panicked if they know that there is a COVID patient going this and that place will be totally empty. Like it would be like a no-no zone. So a lot of patients that have a regular appointment to see their endocrinologist, for example, They are scared to come to the hospital, and we had to come up with other measurements to taking care of them. And later on, we do have a regular meeting, daily morning meeting. It used to be about other topics, but once COVID arrived, every day we talk about COVID situations. For example, we had to construct 10 units of negative ICU for COVID patients only within 10 days for this latest wave in last July, in this past July, June and July. And during the first wave, we had problem with medical supply. So we had to count and monitor which department use the supply. We have to limit, like not to let you have everything as you want. We have to make sure that we have enough for the system. And also for expensive medicine that is hard to find or become very rare, like antibody treatment. We have to monitor like in and out of patients and make sure that we got the right number of medicine to have enough for everyone, but not too much because that costs a lot of money, for example. As for the volunteer aspect, I also joined with Dr. Tasama to see the COVID patient on telemedicine in Thailand. Yeah, that was fun to working together as we were classmates. Yeah,
Yeah, so
and it
you-
was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's really
Otherwise,
interesting.
yeah.
Otherwise,
we wouldn't have a chance to work together because she works and live in the States. And I
Yeah.
live here and work here, right?
So one of the follow-up questions was that, what is your opinion on telemedicine when you first started with telemedicine? How did you feel about it as opposed to how you feel about it now? How have your feelings changed towards telemedicine? Let's start with Dr. Tasama.
Yeah, I think it is this technology. I think is helpful, and I think it will be the alternative platform for the patient to reach the doctors or the physicians easily. As I said earlier, this platform help the patients and the physician to connect easily because the patient doesn't need to travel far away to see the doctors. So I think it will be one of the platform as alternative one for the patient to choose. However, I think this technology has some cons too because you lack a lot of touch. You lack a lot of nonverbal communications, I would say, so to the patients. So I think we don't have a lot of those. So we miss that. So I think in the future, what I see, or even now I'm practicing in the US, what we are doing is we have alternative visit between the virtual and in-person visit. For example, for a patient that I see usually is diabetes patients. So we see in person for once or twice a year, and the rest of the visit will be a virtual visit. So I think this technology will be coming for sure. And I think it will help a lot to take care of the patients, especially the patient who live far away.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Seriman, what is your view on this?
I think I agree with Dr. Samar on telemedicine view. And I think for my organization, COVID make it came earlier.
Okay.
Right, thank you. So we have questions from the attendees of the webinar. So this one question is addressed to Dr. Tasama Naka. So someone wants to know what's your daily routine as a professor at the University of Minnesota. Can you briefly walk through your daily routine?
So my daily routine is I'm the clinical appointed position. So I spend most of my day in the clinic. So I have about 3 days of clinic per week. So I usually see patient in the morning or afternoon, depending on your schedule. And the rest of my time will be doing either teaching or research. Teaching medical students, residents, and fellows. And the research is depending on what kind of research each professor doing. It can be bench research, translational research, or clinical research. And it depends on your appointment. Some of my colleagues had the research appointment, so they have more research time. Compared to me, as I said myself, is a clinical appointment, so I have more clinical time in a week.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
Dean, take the next question.
The next question comes in for Dr. Seriman. Dr. Seriman, how did you know that you wanted to become a dermatologist? What was it that defining moment that you said, this is what I want to do? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, like when I said I was happy when I had that derm rotation.
Yeah.
So in dermatology, you meet a lot of happy people. They are good looking, they are beautiful, they are like, I'm not saying I am one. Yeah, but just also at that time, I love devices, and it just happened that when I graduated, there was a time that there were many novel skin devices. So I was so into this.
Okay, thank you so
But
much.
actually, you still have many more aspects if you practice in United States or the country with lighter skin. Especially in Australia, I think there are many more incidents of skin cancer. So if you practice dermatology in those countries, you will be mainly focused on something more serious, more than here.
Thank you so much.
So what are the things that you focus on here in Thailand? What are the main focuses here?
In Thailand, most as Nakhon Hospital is a private hospital. So at my department, most patients with skin disease that came in are mostly atopic dermatitis or some eczema. They got skin rash. They are allergic to something. Or psoriasis, which is another kind of skin disease. For skin cancer, from time to time we have, but we can choose some dermatologists. They got like further training. They call themselves derm surgeon, so they can do some skin procedure. So they taking care of those themselves. But for general derm, in Thailand here, they may not do it by themselves. They may consult those patients to surgical department.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we got a next question for Dr. Tasama Naka. So the question is, what is your opinion on changing your specialties once you already decided to be on that specialty and then you decided it's maybe not for me? What do you go from there? How do you adjust, or what is your advice in that case?
Yeah, I think yes, you can change specialty, and I think there's a few doctors or physicians, or I would say residents, who change their specialty when they explore on their first year or second years and they feel that they don't like it. Basically, you need to explore more. I would say try to explore what you like, because I see that I would say that I have take me back. So when you are internal medicine residency, so you rotate to multiple specialty. So you can explore at that time as well. Use that time to explore yourself, whether you want which specialty you want to go into, and try to explore in detail on what you want to do, or do some volunteer work if you would like, and use that time to see whether you like it or not. But changing the subspecialty is possible. It's not always easy, but it's possible.
Okay, thank you so much.
Dr. Seriman, you mentioned that you did a MBA at Sasin. Was this changing, or was this just incorporating?
I think it's incorporating. It makes you look everything in more general view. You understand like people more, like, you know, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we've got a question now about volunteering, your volunteering experience. What kind of volunteering experiences have you done, and what was the highlight for you? A volunteering experience was highlight for you. We'll start with Dr. Tasama.
So my highlight is the recent volunteering experience that I did in Thailand 3 months ago during the COVID surge. I had a chance to go back to Thailand during that time, and was part of the diabetes COVID team, home isolation team, to take care of patients who got or contract COVID and got the medication that causing the diabetes or high blood sugars. And we used the telemedicine platform to take care of the patients. It's a team from volunteer family medicine doctors or other specialty to work together, and everybody use the telemedicine platform to take care of the patients. I would say 24/7, and it's I would say the urgent work during that time that we get together and work on these unprecedented situations.
Thank you so
and
much.
And that's the situation that I also work with my classmate, Dr. Siremon.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Siremon, can you share with us some highlights of your volunteering?
Additional to Dr. Dasma, I think it was really 24/7. I practiced dermatology. One of the perk point is that you don't get an emergency on-call thing in dermatology. It's quite peaceful. Everything is routine, daily to day-to-day routine, right? But once I jump into this COVID home isolation thing, like sometimes 5 a.m., sometimes midnight, patients kind of like send me a line message. Oh, my dad, oxygen is like this, only 83, only 90, what do I do? And then you gotta give them a first priority more than your regular workday priority to help them first, to make sure that they got that oxygen tank delivery to their house. Yeah, and I think the highlight is from this COVID thing, I think many non-medical people really take part in the system, the volunteer system, which is very, very nice to see this. For the highlight of my volunteering experience, I would like to share about my experience in Vietnam, because I got Vietnamese American dermatologist friend in the US that she brought a whole team of dermatologists, pathologists, a derm surgeon, a nurse, and they came with fancy expensive lasers to help with the vascular and pigmented birthmark for the children over there. And I think we came from everywhere, even working with local Vietnamese doctors, and up until now we still trust and already built bond to them. I don't think you can get this kind of bond from any other kind of work. This is very special from things that you will get from volunteer work.
Thank you,
Thank you so much. And how often have you gone back to Vietnam?
I think about five times. I went like four times consecutively, and before I got married and have a child, and then after that I went with my 2-year-old child again. Yeah.
Thank you, Ka.
Okay,
So
thank
we
you so
have a
much.
question for Dr. Tasama. So the audience wants to know, why did you choose to work in the USA, and what are the benefits or advantages of working abroad?
Why did I choose to work here? I think I was trained. I trained here on a specialty after medical school. so I know the system. And at that time, I would like to explore working experience in the US on the system, technology, patients. So that's my major reasons why I chose to work here. The difference between working in US and Thailand is quite different. One is work-life balance. As you know, the doctors in Thailand is very, very busy, especially if you work in the university hospital. I have a lot of my friends working in the university hospital in Thailand. So you need to work a lot of hours during your work hours, and sometimes you might need to work on your after hours. You also had some multiple work, multiple duties to do. Again, I think partly it might be the difference in terms of the numbers of the doctors and the number of the distribution of the doctors. So most of the doctors stay in the Bangkok, unlike in the US that most of the doctors spread out to stay in either urban or suburban area. So the work-life balance here is, I would say, is more balanced here, and the workload is I would say it's less, or I would say it's more balanced in the way that if you, for example, if you chose to do the clinical work, you can choose to do that. If you want to be more like a researcher, you can do that too. So they have time, they allocate time better, I would say, in your work-life balance.
Thank you. So a following up question would be, if you studied medicine in Thailand and you you go into specialty in Thailand, but eventually you want to practice medicine in the United States, is it easy? Do you have to get through an exam to receive your licensing in the United States? How would you advise someone? Would you rather have a specialty in Thailand or abroad?
You can, for example, for myself, everybody who come to US to practice here, you need to take a license. You need to take a exam called USMLE exam and get into the residency training or fellowship training and get the medical license. You can take your specialty Thai board, for example, internal medicine residency in Thailand. But once you come here, you still need to take the test and the license, the board license exam.
Right. So you would think that in order to work in the USA or any other English speaker countries, your English must be good, very good, or enough to be able to communicate with the nurses and other staff?
Yeah. Yes, enough to communicate. I mean, for myself, I spent all my education in Thailand, including the medical school. So basically, after I graduated from Thailand, I just studied for the board exam. And the board exam had 3 steps. It may change later, I'm not sure, but they have 3 steps. So including the communication with the patients exam. So once you pass that, you can, I mean, on your daily basis, you can communicate with the patient, with the doctors and nurse. It takes some practice, but I think you should be fine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So we've got 2 questions here, and 2 of the questions that the students really want to know is, what piece of practical advice would you give the students who are applying to medical school? Dr. Siriman, let's start with you.
Well, I think you do it because you really want to do it, not because of someone's telling you to do it. Because when you study hard, you can tell yourself, admire yourself that I chose to do this and I can make it, I can do it. your family, your loved one, they can always support you, but they cannot study for you. So I would say that you really have to think a lot that you want to do it.
And Dr. Tassama?
Yeah, I think the same things. Try your best. Once you choose it, try your best. Study hard. It's not easy in a medical school, but try, study hard, ask for help, and you will achieve what you want.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, this is practical advice you'd give to a student wanting to go into medical school. What practical advice would you give a first-year medical student who is doing their first year? Dr. Seriman, let's start with you.
Do your best and listen to others, being a good observer. Listen to advice.
Okay, thank you so much. And Dr. Tassama?
But besides what Dr. Sirion said, don't forget to do other extracurriculum activities. It's very important to do other extracurriculum activities, especially in your first year, second years, to learn other aspects of life.
Okay, so unfortunately we have come to the end of this a great discussion panel.
Yes.
I'd like to thank both Dr. Tassama and Dr. Seriman for being here today, making the time. I know that it's quite late for you, Dr. Tassama and Dr. Seriman. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And thank you, May, also for being here today.
Thank
and
you,
I hope
Dean.
that you've all had a great webinar. If you have any questions on any of the discussion panels or any of the videos that you saw, please feel free to put all your questions into the chat box. We will take all of the questions and answer them all and post all the answers on Facebook by the 30th of November. So Dr. Tassama and Dr. Seriman, thank you so much.
Thank you so much ค่ะ
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank you ค่ะ
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for the first ever student webinar hosted by Operation Smile Thailand. My name is Dean Madeira, and it was a pleasure to be with you today. Just a quick recap of the after-event schedule. The evaluation form should be submitted before the 8th of November. The form is in your email attached to your Zoom link. Full video of this webinar will be posted on Facebook by the 20th of November, on YouTube and Facebook. An e-certificate will be emailed to all attendees by the 20th of November. If you haven't received your e-certificate or your Google form, you can email us and we will get that to you. All the answers to all of your questions, thank you so much for submitting all of your questions, will be posted on Facebook by the 30th of November. So thank you so much for joining us today and hope you have a great evening. Thank you.